Please rise to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilwoman Lee.
Here.
Councilwoman Burnham.
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Here.
Councilwoman Schwabenbauer.
Here.
Councilman Dipprich.
Here.
Councilman Duvall.
He's absent. He's got another engagement. Sunshine Statement.
Let the minutes reflect that in compliance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act, that notice of this meeting has been provided by notifying the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and the Star Ledger by placing a notice on the bulletin board and filing same with the Borough Clerk on January 4th, 2015.
Thank you. Workshop. There's a couple of minor items. One is Animal Control Officer. Our esteemed Animal Control Officer, Henry Perez, has taken ill because of an injury. Will be out for about 10 weeks or so, maybe a little bit more, because of his recuperation. So we need an animal control officer instead of getting one of the statewide agencies. We're happy to note that our former animal control officer, now working for the Township of Middletown, Carrie Gowan. Carrie is well versed in Red Bank. She was with us for many years. Would be able and available to assist in those duties during Henry's absence as a part-time employee at the rate of $50 per call. I think that's fair and reasonable under the circumstances, and unless there's an objection, there is a resolution ready to be added to this evening's calendar later on to move forward. So we have a problem, let's fix it until he gets back and get it under control. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll add that. The second is there's for many years the Borough of Red Bank and many of our professionals have been talking about an issue that, frankly, the state of New Jersey is behind the times. And the last time the ABC laws were revised were in 1948, and every other state in our area has been revising them, and the people in Trenton seem to not be able to do that. So in any event, finally, one of the Assembly people has responded to a lot of the initiatives that a lot of our Red Bank restaurateurs have been talking about for many years, and that is that the state ABC laws should be amended. So Assemblyman Buzzacchetti from, I believe, Burlington County has sponsored a bill which has some bipartisan support, which is Assembly Bill A4267. The bill seeks to amend the State Alcoholic Beverage Control Act, enacted in 1948, to provide for a separate classification of licenses. Those classifications would be a separate license that would only apply to an existing full-time regulated restaurant that has seating capacity for patrons and serves both lunch and dinner. So your snack shops would not apply. Your candy stores would not apply. Your cupcake shops. It is geared to established sit-down restaurants that have table capacity, table service, serve lunch and dinner, and this particular new license would be able to permit restaurants to serve as they do in New York, as they do in Pennsylvania, as they do in Massachusetts and most other states. Only wine and beer. They would not be permitted to serve spirits. So that would be part of the other license. Now the benefit is that I think it would be of assistance and helpful to a lot of our restaurants who have been clamoring for this particular type of legislation. It puts the matter on the public agenda. It creates revenue for the state and the municipalities because there would be a licensing fee of approximately $1,500 for the towns. And I think it's an all-around thing, and frankly, it moves us up to the 21st century as a state. It's one of the major, and again, it doesn't really hurt the other establishments that have full liquor licenses because they would be able to serve spirits and beer and wine. But if you go in the city right now, you have every restaurant that serves wine and beer. And they've had no problems with it. They certainly have a lot more restaurants than we do in Red Bank. So That's up for discussion. Assemblyman Bizzacchetti has introduced it. I know that I can probably speak for River Center in that Mr. Scavone is indicating his assent, that the business community supports it. And I think it's a forward step for the state of New Jersey. We're encouraging our legislators to support Assemblyman Bizzacchetti. And if the council is fine with it, we can add a resolution to that effect at the end of the calendar. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, just a clarifying question.
Yeah.
I've been following this in the New Jersey legislature, and what I can't remember is, does it say anything about whether the restaurants who are, will be able to serve the wine and the beer, are they prohibited from establishing a bar area, or is it silent as to that?
They are prohibited from establishing a bar area in the serve.
Okay.
So the intent of the legislature is to create table service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I just, do we need to take action on this tonight? Do we have a little bit of time to digest this?
I'm sorry?
Do we need to take action on this tonight, or do we have a little bit of time to digest this?
We've got all the time in the world because the state's been sitting on it since 1948. But
But we're looking, we're looking to
wine
make
becomes
a
better with
decision.
age.
I think the legislature needs to actually let you.
Yeah, no, we have plenty of time. All I'm saying is that it would be helpful for us to put it on the table, and I think it's a good thing, but you guys can talk about it, yeah.
Okay.
Third thing, it's not on the workshop agenda, but I spoke to the council president Morgan this afternoon, and it's actually a public policy issue. I've seen some letters when I got here tonight from some residents, and frankly, it's something that the previous councils have been aware of. You know, Kathy and I were both on the council when we enacted a previous resolution concerning fracking, and this would ban. Oh, there's a stop sign. But what I'm suggesting is that this council has been extraordinarily supportive in the past in terms of the actual fracking issue on the waterways and also the ocean. This particular endeavor would seek to move our legislative team to support and perhaps even override the governor's blatant disregard of the legislative will and the people's will to approve a statewide fracking ban initiative. And also, this would address the issue of the residue from the fracking and would prohibit the dumping of any fracking residue in any part of the state. I think it's a parallel initiative that we did a few years ago, and I don't think that there's any objection. It's a positive thing. It helps future generations, protects the water streams and the lifeline that we have in our state. And it's about time the guy who's traveling in New Hampshire or wherever he's traveling should get the hint and start approving the legislative intent. And hopefully our legislators have the tenacity to override his veto, but also to amend it. So is there any others?
I guess
So we have a proposed resolution, but the proposed resolution would also ban the waste from fracking. Yeah.
Right, because in 2011, we were in support of banning fracking as a governing body, and I think that this is, I think the issue here is the waste,
Right.
the byproduct of fracking, so that it's not dumped in our state or disposed of, in any fashion around the state. So I think it's an important issue that we should definitely adopt.
Well, and also, the EC met last night, and they put together a letter also supporting that stance against fracking.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you want me to read it, or you just want it,
No, I think we're all in agreement.
We're all in
Yeah.
agreement? Good.
Oh, I
Linda's
saw
in
that.
agreement.
Puzzled look on his face. I want to give everybody a chance to express themselves.
You were Rita? Yes, hi.
Rita.
Maybe you'd like to just come up and say a few words?
Yeah, okay. Or you can come up. Right here, so it's hopefully it's backwards.
Just state your name and your address or your affiliation with the group.
Yeah, hold it in, there's a button.
Is it working?
Yes.
That's
Success. Great. So I actually have some informative handouts. I'm happy to hear that everybody is very supportive of this, and I do have some educational handouts for you.
Can you just give your name and your address? Thank you.
So Rita Yelda, I work for Food and Water Watch. I live in New Brunswick, New Jersey. That's where our office is located. And I'm here today I wanted to talk really briefly about the issue of fracking waste. It is coming into New Jersey. It's not being tracked properly. There's a lot of federal and state loopholes that allow it to go into our community's landfills, into wastewater treatment facilities that can't treat this stuff. And it's coming in a number of ways. So there's fracking wastewater that's coming in sometimes as brine that they spread on roads during the winter time in order to melt ice, but it's full of all those drilling chemicals. It's potentially radioactive. It also comes into our landfills, potentially exposing workers to levels of radioactivity, chemicals. Unfortunately, the EPA is not looking at fracking waste under its hazardous waste laws. It should. They even in their own findings have found that this stuff is radioactive. It's dangerous to be exposed to. And so there have been a couple of communities that have already passed ordinances, put laws on the books saying that they don't want fracking waste coming in. Edison is one place. Elizabeth is another place. Highland Park is working on one. Carteret is working on one. And Elizabeth and Carteret are both places that have already received fracking waste. South Kearney has already gotten fracking waste. And in that instance, that fracking waste was so radioactive that actually violated a state permit. So this is stuff you don't want coming into your communities, whether it's being spread on roads or mismanaged at a waste treatment facility. So that's all I want to say. I'm just here today to advocate for the passage of an ordinance. I so much appreciate the council in 2011 taking a stand against fracking. And it's great that fracking is not happening in our state, but unfortunately it is impacting our state because we're getting the waste from it. So even though we don't have the drilling, we're taking all the waste. And I really like the phrase, I saw a sign once that said, garden state, not garbage state, and that's really how I feel about this, is we don't need any more waste from other states. So, and I do have some handouts. Who should I give it to just first?
Leave it with the administrator and we'll pass it out. Thank you so much for your presentation. And again, you have our full support.
Yes. Thank you, Rita.
And Rita, for all of the work that you do, just know that we appreciate all of your efforts and hard work.
Thank you so much.
And may I have this, thanks for having this resolution. Can we add this to the agenda tonight?
Yes, it's going to be added.
It's ban fracking waste.
No other things for workshop, mayoral approval of the minutes, September 9, 2015. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Appointments this evening. There are vacancies on the zoning board, and Ann Torre is going to be moved, an existing member, to full member for an unexpired term of 4 years ending on 12/31/2018. Joseph Labudi, an existing member, will be moved to alternate number 1 for an unexpired 2-year term ending 12/31/2015. And Eric Youngstrom will be moved, an existing member, also to alternate number 2 for an unexpired 2-year term. At the same time, there's a vacancy on the library board. James White will be moved to the library board of trustees, full member for the unexpired 5-year term ending 12/31/2018. Motion to affirm.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Reports from Mayor and Council Committee member Sharon.
Just a brief report. There was a safety meeting held at Red Bank Catholic, pedestrian safety and bicycle safety, Monday evening. It was fairly well attended for a short notice. Councilman Zipperich, the mayor, and I were there, present. Mr. Sickles was there, as well as the chief representing Red Bank, giving them the stats that they needed. Community concerns were made and addressed to the freeholder who was present, the county engineer, Senator Beck, as well as a representative from Senator Carrillo's office. Yes. So we had, and some mayors from the surrounding areas, and quite a bit of information was passed back and forth, but the most impressive thing was the Red Bank Catholic High School students. They were impacted in the last year and a half, I believe, by the fatalities of 2 students. And they chose to act on safety. and they made a little DVD video. They are available at Red Bank Catholic to encourage students to embrace the younger children, help them cross the streets, look both ways, all the basic things that we used to learn in grammar school that seem to be missing at this point in time. Bicycle safety, helmet safety. So there were quite a few things covered. And Red Bank Catholic is beginning a, what do you call it, campaign. Yes. Oh, Councilwoman Schwab was also there. You'll see the signs around the borough supporting it. So if you have the opportunity to support it, extend your hand out to the public schools to also encourage the students and their parents to ride safely, and not lots of information about bike lanes and where we're going in the state and what's available within the borough. And you'll see there are new markings on the roadways for bicyclists to be traveling in, but they still need to be wearing those helmets and safety gear and lights. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy?
Yes. Well, I have exciting news about Paddle the Navesink Day. Last year we had 300 people show up. This year we had 600 people show up. So it was a constant from 12 to 4. People coming, paddleboard yoga, trying these kayaks, and it was a wonderful event. And I urge you all to try to come out next year if you haven't tried it yet. Monmouth Boat Club gave out, 45 rides on sailboats and gave free hot dogs and hamburgers, and that was really wonderful. As far as code enforcement goes, code enforcement complaints, we had 19 complaints. We only had one overcrowding complaint. And that's really basically it with that. I'm sure Kathy's going to expound on this, but I'm a friend of the library, and we are sponsoring this event, What's in Your Attic. It's kind of like an antique roadshow, and that is going to be October 17th on a Saturday. You can go into it, but I'm a friend.
Go ahead.
I'm a friend, so we're sponsoring it. So admission is $20, and you can come with up to 3 items. So it's $20 to get in with 1 item, and then each item is $5 extra. And we're going to have lectures, and there'll be things for children to do, and there'll be refreshments, and it should be a fun time. I also wanted to tell you that the Environmental Commission is planning its second Red Bank Garden and Eco Tour. And that's going to be Saturday, September 26th from 9 to 6. And it was started last year by the chair, Laura Bagwell. And we have over a dozen locations, from private locations to garden designs, organic raised beds, sustainability, edible front yard gardens, solar food hydrator, backyard bee colonies. It should be great. You can get a map. John Bon Jovi Soul Kitchen is offering tours of their front yard garden. The Coffee Corral is going to be offering free hot and cold coffee with your own mug. And if you want to know more about it, I can give you the number, which is 617-417-1218, if you want to learn more about it. But it's a lot of fun. You can do it at your own pace. You can go all over. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yes, I have just one thing from the library, and that's about their survey. It's part of their strategic planning process. They urge everyone to either go online at www.redbanklibrary.org, and or you can even tweet. You can go on Twitter, and it's hashtag 100 Great Ideas, RBPL, which stands for Red Bank Public Library. They would like to have responses by September 30th. Is that still true, Steve? Because I think there was a little delay, so maybe
It hasn't been changed officially.
Okay, all right. Well, don't worry about the deadline. Just fill out the survey. It will help the library to better determine the best use of resources and new programming for everyone. So that's really important. Cindy talked about what's in your attic, and this is also library card sign-up month. So if you live, work, or go to school here in Red Bank and you have proof, you can go into the library and get a free card. So take advantage of that. And that's it. But if you could fill out the survey, that would be great. They're really trying to do wonderful things over there. And it's your library, so let them know what you'd like. Thank you.
And it only takes about 5 minutes, Kathy, because we already participated in it, and it was real easy.
Linda?
Parks and Rec Committee has begun interviewing for a full-time permanent Parks and Rec director. Those interviews will be going on over the next few weeks, following which we will make a decision and recommendation. That's where we're at.
Thank you. Ed?
Well, just to follow Linda, the Department of Public Utilities is also advertising for a full-time director for the new year. But the Historic Preservation Commission held their first award ceremony last Tuesday night at Smallwood Capitol on Broad Street. And owner John Smallwood and his wife Sharon accepted the Historic Preservation Award for the preservation of their new office space right there on Broad Street, just adjacent to the Verizon building. They are in the professional office zone. And Mr. and Mrs. Cagno on Wallace Street received an award for their residential historic restoration on Wallace Street. And the Women's Club was awarded an HPC award for their restoration and refurbishment of the Anthony Reckless Estate on Broad Street. And then the last award was presented to Urban Outfitters for the work that they did on the corner of Front and Broad. And I just wanted to thank the mayor for presenting the awards, along with the Smallwoods for hosting the event, and Chairwoman Michaela Faragine for putting the effort into making it happen, along with Gilda and Mary and Mark and all of the members of the Historic Preservation Commission, Cal, and George Bowden even came back to speak about historic preservation all the way from across the bridge in Shadow Lake. And I want to thank Cindy too for coming out to support the Historic Preservation Commission's efforts. The DPW committee met today to review progress on the road program and looking into available grant monies for next year's road program. I wanted to thank the engineer for all of her efforts. Doctors Parker Boulevard has been finished. I just wanted to bring everybody's attention to the fact that there are showers painted on the newly resurfaced roadway, remembering to share the road with bicyclists in conjunction with the event that we were all at on Monday night for bicycle and pedestrian safety. The engineer is also reviewing the new well that's needed at 75 Chestnut Street. Preliminary discussions about its placement are also underway. The emergency, the emergency access road to the primary school is also in design discussion with our engineers and professionals. And we're also looking at further infrastructure improvements being reviewed for consideration for the new fiscal year, and what grant funding from the county, state, and federal government may be explored. And on Monday, the mayor and I were in attendance at the Count Basie Theater's Performing Arts Academy, which just christened their new Performing Arts Center at the former Phoenix Production Studio across the street. And congratulations to everybody at the Basie for all of their hard work. But I also, upon leaving that, Jim Scavone and I had a moment where we enjoyed looking at the new Big Belly solar trash compactor that's across the street opposite the electric vehicle charging station. So everybody should take a look at that. They look really great. The graphics on them represent landmarks around the borough, and it gives a great opportunity for recycling on one side and trash compacting on the other, which is solar powered, as I mentioned. And then last night I attended the Welcome Back School barbecue at the Red Bank Middle School, And I wanted to thank Superintendent Rubbage for his continued commitment to our children and the future of Red Bank. The attendees enjoyed a great barbecue and a free movie on the grassy knoll opposite the Board of Education offices there. It was sponsored by the Red Bank Education Association, so thanks to all of the teachers who helped put it together. And the Red Bank Borough Education Foundation, of course, was there, hawking their casino night fundraising event. There are cards here on the front table. It's to take place at the Elks Club on Front Street, number 233, from 7 to 10 on October 23rd. Admission is $60, and if you reserve early at rbbef.org, you'll get an extra advance on some play money to participate. And if anybody has any questions on that, please see me after the meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Ed, I just wanted to say, I don't know if you heard, but I found it appalling that we don't have a crosswalk across from Mama Daycare. You know, you see all these mothers, these grandmothers and strollers and little kids.
That issue that has been discussed with the police department, I think the engineer wanted to add something.
Yeah, so,
It's part of the contract.
right, so anyway, so I had spoken to the chief about it, and he said they were just going to do temporary lines, at least, temporary lines, just like from across Bergen, is temporary, because you're going to put in some kind of fancy crosswalk, am I correct?
Right, the red, like the red ones we have out here, is
Right.
the red stamped, high visibility crosswalk.
But are they going to fall apart like the other ones did? Okay, because that was a big mess.
But I didn't do that, that was the DOT to do that.
Oh,
And Cindy, while you bring that up, I know that you were involved with Senator Beck on the crosswalks here at Maple Avenue, and I know they took all of the stuff that was coming apart, that red stuff,
Yeah.
the stamp stuff out, and they resurfaced it with some asphalt. But do you know what Senator Beck's office is
I haven't looked
got
at that lately.
going
No, I'll have to look at it.
to restripe those crosswalks as well? Because
Because they're not striped either?
they took out the red paving and it's a temporary situation that they've created.
Right.
I wasn't
I'll-
sure, I know you were working closely with them. I just wasn't sure whether.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
Well, maybe I have an answer to that.
You?
Yes. I mean, it'd be nice if you'd asked me, I would have told you what the answer was, it worked.
Well, I didn't have a problem with that, I just...
No, about even the other crosswalk, that's what phones are for. We can answer any questions that a council person has. But in any event, Commissioner Fox will be in Red Bank on the 30th. He's the State Commissioner of Transportation. And Jamie will be in town. Senator Beck will be with Jamie and myself. And we were, the purpose of the meeting is to follow up and specifically bring forth that as part of the Route 35 restoration project, which they have ongoing. And hopefully we will have the dates when the teams will be able to implement some of the other traffic calming, including the adjustments to the lights and also to the bottom place areas. So we're finally going to get the commissioner down on the 30th, and we will hopefully have a productive meeting. But that's been on their repair list for quite some time. But as you know, it's a state project. So the first step is to get the boss down, and he is the boss. So it's that's very positive. And again, both Jen and I have known Jamie for many years, and I think he'll be very receptive. So I think that's a good.
Now, Mayor, will that also include the turn onto Water Street, as you come down around
Yes.
the little church?
It's going to be a comprehensive review of all that we've been talking about. As I said, I don't know if you were still there Monday night when I queried saying that some of these things have been ongoing for about 8 years. So evidently that message did get across. Hopefully we'll fast forward some of that. Some of it are easy fixes and some of them are...
Well, I would hope so. 8 years is a long time to wait.
Yeah.
I mean, if it happened
And
here in
that's
the
why I
borough
said
when
that.
we didn't respond, we'd have our heads handed to us, right, Cindy?
But, so, that's positive.
You know, could I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Walgreens, we've been having a lot of problems.
That's not DOT.
What?
That's not DOT.
No, that's not DOT, it's something I forgot to mention. in my report.
Code matter?
Yes, code matter. You know, we were holding up the SIBO for Walgreens because they weren't really living up to what they said they were going to do for the residents. And I'm so happy to report that simply by our new planning and zoning director reaching out to the developer and me being able to run over there and get the other girl who was complaining about the shrubs, we got 14 beautiful 12-foot tall Leland cypresses, which is what they had promised originally, but only gave us like 6 puny little things that they died. But we got them up, we got them in, and it looks beautiful. Have you seen it over there? Anybody? No? Oh, okay. Well, it looks really nice. Now they can get their CO. So I'm happy.
Okay. I met with the OEO coordinator this morning, and as of the September 14th, the borough is fully compliant with the emergency office operations plan. It's been approved by the county and by the state. And so I believe that our OEO coordinator, Tom Welsh, is doing a great job with his team. And I complimented him on behalf of the council. But the state has signed off on our designated areas for emergency gathering, and the only thing left obviously would be the generators that have been ordered for those members of the council who voted for the capital project. But they will be going in and will be provided as part of emergency safe havens for our residents. That should be happening real soon. But in any event, a positive thing is happening Monday for Red Bank, and that is we're fortunate to be hosting, we'll be hosting a group of 25 Chinese graduate students that are MBA and high-level government master's program candidates at the Seton Hall University Graduate School of Government and Professional Business Development. And the purpose is they wanted to learn and have a dialogue in terms of how middle-range municipalities work in the United States in terms of comparing it to their experiences in China. These are all graduate students, and so I will be hosting them, and hopefully we'll have a good panel of different component elements from the community, from the business community, from the arts community, certainly from the finance community, and other component elements that the press community, journalism, and information gathering. And I think it's going to be helpful for them. So I'm looking forward to hosting them, and they chose Red Bank. So, well, it just sort of happened the past day or so. So the initial gathering will be here, and then we'll probably take it for a tour. But there's going to be a symposium, and I'll try to get some of the leading business people in the area to join in and try to answer their questions and have a dialogue with these guests. And it's going to be wonderful. But they're all, pretty sharp individuals, and they all wanted to come to Red Bank and have a little chit chat with us.
Did you do this last year for them?
No,
Or year before?
no.
What time
They're scheduled to arrive at 11 and probably last for a little while. Yeah. But it just happened. So as soon as that is more fully developed, you'll get copies of the itinerary. But I thought that it was a good opportunity for us to have a dialogue and exchange. Okay, anything else? If not, communications and petitions. Request from Zachary Sullivan for membership to the union host company of the Red Bank Volunteer Fire Department. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request from River Center to hang banners as to the following locations. On Broad Street for the list is right here. It's provided to the public for Red Bank Restaurant Week, Red Bank Wedding Walk, International Flavor Festival, Guinness, Girls Night Out, Red Bank Restaurant Week, and Holiday Shop Local, as well as Shrewsbury Avenue for the summer event. And any objections to that?
There's no objection, but they'll be planning to hang the banners out the month before. These are the dates of the events, right?
But the dates are the dates of the banners will be on.
These are the dates the banners will be
Right.
hung.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? For Shrewsbury Avenue, we did that, I'm sorry. Request approved by the Special Events Committee for a block party request for Madison Avenue as well as John Street. Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request by the Cystic Fibrosis Cycle for Life for a ride through Red Bank from East Front Street to West Front Street over Hubbard's Bridge for Saturday, October 3rd. Motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Request for the 4th Annual Worldwide Dance for Kindness in the closure of Broad Street from Front Street to White Street on Sunday, November 8th from 12 to 2 p.m. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the request for the 7th Annual Red Bank Community Block Party for Saturday, October 13, 2013, with a rain date of the 20th of August from 12 to 7. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any members of the public have any comments on any resolutions on the agenda for this evening? Resolutions up. If not, motion to close.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? By consent, unless council has any questions on it, the following resolutions will be moved from consent. They have been provided on the council agenda package and documents that are on the table, Resolution 15-235 through and including Resolution 15-244.
I have one question.
Sure. Which one?
Resolution 15-236. Mr. Sickles, could you explain that to me? I know
Sure.
it's regarding what the
Well, I think the engineer would explain.
townhouses down Bank Street.
Let the engineer.
When an application is doing a sewer extension, a NJDEP treatment works application is required. So it's for an extension of the sewer. It's not actually, they don't require permits for connections or what have you. This particular application had a treatment works for the 12-unit project, and since the project has been sold to a new owner for construction, doing their due diligence, we realized that their treatment works application is not for the full 15 units. So what this resolution does is the administrator signs on behalf of the sewer utility, confirming that we do have capacity in the sewer lines that come from Banging Dr. Parker for the application, so that they can make their sewer main extension.
And they have to get a competitive agreement from the treatment facilities.
Right. The treatment works application has already been signed by Two Rivers Water Reclamation Authority. They're just waiting for signature by Red Bank.
And how about the DEP?
The DEP for this.
I mean, they're okay that we're going to be adding more demand to our water and sewer?
They're aware of this, yep, they're aware of this application. In fact, they have said in writing that they've approved the Clay Street project, which is the art studio, that there's no issue with that. And with this application, once we sign our memorandum of agreement, which they had promised we would have in August, we still have yet to get it, I guess it's held up on their end, then this application will be approved to connect with the water.
Any other questions?
Oh, that's it, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on any resolutions as outlined?
Sorry, this one is here, supporting the assembly.
No, that's going to be at the end. We're going to be adding. Okay, motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we'll have add-on resolution 15-245, which would be a resolution for a temporary appointment of our former animal control officer as a part-time interim animal control officer, carried down at the rate of $50 per hour due to the incapacity of our current animal control officer. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 15-246. That resolution would be a resolution to reaffirm a call for a ban on fracking as well as a ban on fracking waste deposits in the state of New Jersey. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And resolution 2015-247, which would be a resolution supporting S 4267-3, a new liquor licenses for certain restaurants by the state of New Jersey. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain, okay, no problem. Resolution passes, will be forwarded to the state for their review and comment. Proclamations, there's only one, October 18, 2015, proclamation as Crop Hunger Walk Day. Whereas at the end of World War II, many people wanted to share our country's abundance with European war victims, and the first crop walk's first purpose was to gather wheat and other crops from U.S. farms for shipment to Europe. And whereas today locally organized crop hunger walks are an important part of community life for more than 2,000 towns and cities in the United States, bringing together people of different faiths, diverse cultures, and all age groups. And whereas in the last 15 years alone, crop hunger walks have raised over $200 million to bring help and hope to people in need around the world and in the United States. And whereas each year crop hunger walks help more than 3,200 local food pantries, food banks, and meal sites in the U.S. provide food to neighbors in need. And whereas the 35th annual Red Bank Crop Walk will be held on October 18, 2015, to help our community become aware of and concerned about the hunger and its causes. And whereas the Crop Hunger Walk will raise funds to help stop hunger both locally and globally. Now therefore, I was from Madam Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank, and hereby proclaim October 18, 2015 is Crop Hunger Walk Day, and Borough of Red Bank urge our citizens to support this 35th annual Red Bank Crop Hunger Walk. My only comment is that for the past maybe 12 years or so, or 10 years, we've been trying to get them to change the time and the date for the Crop Hunger Walk, because we can't participate. They have a Crop Hunger Walk in Red Bank the same day that we've always had our Halloween parade for our kids. So, but I've been, they said that's when they have it. I said, well, we'll be happy to proclaim it, but I don't think too many of the council members will be able to be there. It's unfortunate, but it's just a fact of life.
Maybe it'll rain. Then we'll have our parade on the 25th.
We'll still have to wait. It doesn't rain on our kids.
It doesn't usually rain on our parade.
It doesn't rain on our parade. No. Resolution 15-248, resolution for payment of vouchers, be it resolved by the mayor and council, the bills be paid on the attached check register totaling $2,783,893.93. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any old business?
I have old business. I would just like to know, and I don't mean to be a nudge about this, but this is something that everybody wants to know about. Everybody has been reading things in the paper, and I would just like to know where are we with the RFP status with the proposals for Marine Park? Could you tell us, Linda, where we're at?
I need to reconvene the committee, and once we reconvene the committee, we'll make a recommendation to this council, and at that time, the council will be able to react to the recommendation. So I expect to reconvene the committee following the completion of the interviews for the director job, which we anticipate completing over the next few weeks. So it'll be a few weeks till we get the committee together.
Okay, because, and I brought this up in our closed session the other day, but it's a well-known fact.
I didn't talk about close out.
Wait, I'm not talking about that.
I know, but
I'm just talking about a policy.
I just want to make clear that nobody on the governing body should be talking about anything that was discussed in the
All right, I'm not
executive
talking about
session.
anything that was discussed. I'm talking about law, okay? I'm just going to make a statement about law, that law says that when you have an RFP put out and you get your proposals, you have 60 days in which to decide a proposal or to throw them all out. And I'm just wondering why that doesn't apply to us.
Mr. O'Hara? I think I know the answer, but you're the attorney tonight, not me.
Yeah. It does apply, and you're referring to the local public contracts law. And when you have a typical public works contract, typically you're dealing with a fixed price product. This is a little bit more complicated. It's an RFP that involves not only a use of borough property, the lease of borough land. So to answer your question, yes, typically you have to award a contract within 60 days. And the reason behind that is that you don't want the prices to get stale. If you have a bid on a particular, say, public works project, street project, those prices are only good for a period of time, so you want them to get awarded within a period of time. Also, those bids are easy. It's typically you award it to the lowest bid. This is a much more complicated process. As you know, there's been a lot of public input. Councilwoman Schwabenbauer has conducted separate public meetings on this. So it inherently is going to take a little bit longer. And the bids can be held open if there's no objection by the bidders. So the bids have been held open longer than would ordinarily be the case in a straight public works contract.
And all the bidders agreed to this?
We haven't received any, I don't think any of the bidders have objected
No objection.
to holding the bids open.
So you're looking at 3 more weeks a month?
I can't answer that question, Councilwoman Berman, but
3 weeks a month?
Roughly, yes, because, we're in the first round of the interviews now. We'll have a second round of interviews, then I'll convene the committee to review that. And at that time, we'll talk about the proposed process.
Something for the clerk.
Sure.
I believe
Yes, Sharon.
that regarding Resolution 15245, you stated $15 an hour.
No, I said 50.
I know it's 50, but it's $50 per call, and you stated $15 an hour. Just you'll see it when you do the record in minutes.
The resolution's correct, right?
The resolution's correct.
Yeah, it is.
What he said, he just was.
It's per call. No, I thought I said $50 per call.
No, you said $15 per hour.
I meant per call. My apologies.
I have bad hearing, but
Some of those calls can take all night, so maybe it'd be better per hour. And I should apply.
But that's just for the sake of the minutes. That's not what happened.
Chasing that fox might be difficult. Anything under old business? Anything under new business?
I just had one item, Mayor. I wanted to express our condolences to Rich Hardy on the passing of his mother, Lorraine. Visitation will take place at the Thompson Memorial Home on Thursday, September 24th, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 310 Broad Street here in Red Bank.
I need Lorraine, charming lady. I'm glad you mentioned that because something was just came back. It's amazing when you're getting old. We lost, I believe, yesterday a beacon of the community, Art Kamen, who was the former editor of the editor and publisher of the local newspaper at the time, before there were web and newspapers and web technology. And it used to be an afternoon paper. It was called the Daily Register. So there used to be morning newspapers and afternoon newspapers. That goes to show you how the world changed. And it used to be called the Daily Register, and they were on Oakland Street by the train station. Sharon and I used to walk in front of it many times when we went to school. And Art Kamen and his wonderful wife, Ginny, were they ran the entire operation with the rest of the crew, and it was an extraordinary newspaper with had all local news. And as Carl will tell you, most people got home for lunch in the afternoon. They wanted to check the Daily Register to make sure their names were not in the Irish sports page. They were not in the obituaries. But Art Kamen was passionate about Red Bank and devoted to Red Bank. And after he retired and sold the paper, and even the building, I think, had a catastrophic fire after he sold it. Remained in the area and continued his service to young people by teaching at Brookdale.
And Red Bank Regional, he was a sub there for
So-
many years.
And he used to like to wear his patches on his jacket, and He smoked his pipe even though you couldn't smoke inside a building. I don't know if there was ever any tobacco in it, but he always had that pipe in his mouth. He looked very professorial, but he'll be missed. But he was a passionate gentleman who really loved people, and one of his best friends for many decades was Catherine Elkins White and Dan O'Hearn. Not this Dan O'Hearn, but his father, who were two of my most esteemed predecessors. They constituted the real conscience of the community. The other thing I didn't mention is that I know that River Center is here is the Sunday is the Oyster Fest, and hopefully we will get a large component of people. And I know you're here. Please throw into the Broad and Muffet Street merchants to please stay open on Sunday, because when 20,000 people are in town, I can't repeat this more than I do. That's when you keep the stores open, not at 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday morning. So I hope they listen. Members of the public, audience? Barbara?
Tall person is here.
You gotta get taller.
Yeah, I don't think so. Barbara Boas, 135 Branch Avenue. I have a little problem on the corner of Brown Place and Bergen Place, on Brown Place side. There is a Class A camper, which is the size of a bus. It's been parked there. Well, this is maybe the third summer.
So I think it's owned by the property owner.
And Branch.
Brown and Branch. Yeah.
It's owned by the owner of the property, right?
It's going to kill somebody. It's so close to the corner of Branch that twice this week, I was coming down Brown Place, and a car was coming off of Branch, and there was no place for the car coming at me. I had to kind of back up so the car could get by. This morning, I was dropping something off at someone's home there, very early, and the owner of the house on the opposite corner had their car on the street. I could barely get through, and again, someone turning down Brown Place had to back out and let me go. Second hazard is that they're connected with water and electricity over the sidewalk going into their house. I think there's something wrong with that, and I think it's very dangerous, and I
Stanley, take a look at
appreciate
it.
someone to look. And it's there, as I said, this is maybe the third summer, but I think this is the time it was the closest to the corner, and it's huge.
Well, I mean, there are two issues. Number one, if there's utilities that transact in any fashion over a public sidewalk, that's a code matter. The second issue is if it's parked too close to the curb, that's a police issue, and that's why they drive around. If it's that close to the curb, they ought to make sure that it's moved
I
within
really,
30 feet of the intersection.
I
So
can't
it should
believe
be.
that we allow Class A vehicles to be parked there. It's bigger than a bus.
It's like a tour bus.
Yeah, it's a tour, exactly. It's the same size as a tour bus that you would see the Rockstar. So it's dangerous.
So-
I appreciate someone to look into it. Thank
And
you.
also perhaps our police commissioner could bring it up with the chief. Sharon, please.
Follow up.
Gilda? And Mark?
Gilda Rogers, 161 River Street. As a member of the HPC, I'm here tonight on behalf of T. Thomas Fortune matter in the home. And I first like to start off by thanking everyone for their support, Mayor and Council. The resolution that was started by Cindy Burnham, and all your donations and support and fundraising efforts, and for Councilman Ed Zipper's help with the HPC, and with his initial efforts with George Bowden in placing this project on the most endangered list in 2007. Mayor Minna, who I know understands the importance of T. Thomas Fortune House, and I quote with all due respect an article that was ran in 2007 with the mayor saying This is a very, very serious issue in the history of African American culture in New Jersey. We must come out affirmatively, passionately in defense of the house. We have a choice to preserve this history now or lose it forever. We should look 100 years ahead and ask ourselves what we want to leave for the future, so that what we have now is not irretrievably lost. This is our opportunity to say we can preserve history, preserve a legacy for our people for generations. And with that said, HBC members are appointed by the mayor, and we have duties to review the historical character, culture, and preservation concerns of this borough, and we have a relationship with the community to educate the importance of these aspects. As members of the HBC, we see that it is the utmost importance to save one of the only 2 National Historic Landmarks devoted to African American heritage in this state. For the last 28 months, in conjunction with the T. Thomas Fortune Project Committee, we've been hosting educational forums and fundraising to inform the community of the significance of the T. Thomas Fortune and how important this National Historic Landmark site is to this borough and to the state of New Jersey. This landmark is unique and important due to its relationship to the history in this country regarding civil rights and social justice during this time period in which T. Thomas Fortune lived, and the continuous issues with civil rights and social justice in this county, in this country today. And Mark, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Gilda. Mark Fitzsimmons, 234 Red Bank. I'm also on the HBC commission, and I also want to follow up and thank Ed too for his work. Second that, and also Sydney's work to start the resolution, and also for all the other council people that have given donations and their comments and time and support for this great National Historic Landmark site. And I just want to put this into the record and read these comments, because I really feel like this landmark should be saved, and this has to be put into the record. T. Thomas Fortune site was dedicated in 1976 by the National Park Service. National Historic Landmarks are nationally historic places designated by the Secretary of Interior because they possess exceptional value of quality in illustrating or interpreting the heritage of the United States. There are 2,500 properties designated as National Historic Landmarks in the United States, and all share a common theme of stories that are important to the history of the entire nation, not just local communities or states, the entire nation. The criteria of this site satisfies the best location to tell the story of an individual who played a significant role in the history of the United States. This property is the only and best location for this National Historic Landmark, T. Thomas Fortune. The state of New Jersey has 57 National Historic Landmarks, and there are just 10 National Historic Landmarks that have criteria designation by individual. With that said, T. Thomas Fortune has the only individual criteria designation in Monmouth County, the only one. This site, as Gilda also said, is one of only 2 Afro-American National Historic Landmark sites in the state of New Jersey. Of 10 National Historic Landmarks that have criteria designation by individual, it is our committee's opinion that the T. Thomas Fortune National Historic Landmark importance ranks just behind Albert Einstein, the scientist and humanitarian. Our committee believes that the T. Thomas Fortune House will become one of the greatest National Historic Landmarks because of continuous issues, as Gilda said, in this country today facing civil rights and social justice. And that for this reason, the building will not become a static museum of his life story. It is the opinion of the committee that the story of this National Historic Landmark property far outweighs the economic benefits for any other development that should be placed upon this property. The building will act as an important economic stimulus to the neighborhood along the corridor of Dr. James Park Boulevard, and the site will increase the state tourism as well as national. But more important, we will preserve a National Historic Landmark in Red Bank, Monmouth County, New Jersey. The state of New Jersey is supporting this project and has offered a bid proposal to the owners of the property. There are 3 freeholders that are in support of this project.
Mark, I'm sorry, could you repeat that from the beginning of the sentence, prior sentence?
Sure. The state of New Jersey is supporting this project and has offered a bid proposal to the owners of this property. There are 3 freeholders that are in support of this project. Our committee believes there is a majority of the council behind this project. We are here tonight to confirm that the council is behind this project and committed in assisting the HBC in acquiring this property, whether or not the bid offer is accepted by the seller, and possibly becoming the maintenance manager of the property if the bid offer is accepted. I would like to place this question to the council. Please tell us you are with us or not. I'd like to end with these finishing remarks. What is more important than saving a National Historic Landmark that would give the borough of Red Bank national attention while keeping a building that would stand for one of the most important issues and ongoing issues in this country's history? A Learning Institute of Civil Rights and Social Justice located right here in Red Bank. That is the theme for T. Thomas Fortune Legacy. Thank you for your time. Take any questions or comments.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of the commission members, Barbara and Mark and Gilda and Cal, who are here. I know you guys have been passionate about this. You've helped me carry the torch on this project. This is a very, very important piece of local history here in the borough of Red Bank, with Mr. Fortune having been an activist, and for all of the contributions to social justice that he performed. I can tell you that I am undoubtedly, as you all well know, in support of preserving this National Historic Landmark. We are watching it painfully fall apart by demolition, by neglect, and we definitely need somebody to come along and preserve it. And if the family will accept the offer that the state is putting forward, I would encourage this council to support its effort.
Mark, do we know what the, Mark, do we know what the bid is for the house now?
No disclosure on it.
But, you know, I support this 100%. And, you know, working in the high school, I think that this is the main route to the high school. The kids pass it every day. I think that they need to know about this. I mean, if this can happen to one of their own people, become a famous journalist, it can happen to them. It gives them hope. It gives them inspiration. I'm behind it. You know I'm behind it.
Okay. Anything else? Any other members of the public?
Hi, good evening. Robin Blair, 69 Thornbrook, Shrewsbury. I'm a neighbor, but I'm also an employee of an architectural firm here in Red Bank. And I'm also a member of the T. Thomas Fortune Committee. And I'm here to reiterate what Gilda and Mark have said. There was an article in the New York Times Sunday, the 21st, 2015. The title is Fates Diverge for Civil Rights Landmarks. One house is renovated and offering tours, while another one sits in despair. The article is about 2 buildings. One is in Montclair, the Israel Crane House and History, YWCA. The other is the T. Thomas Fortune House. That's the one in despair. It would be a wonderful thing to have this as a community center, in tribute to a man who was significant in both African American culture and art and all of American history. We don't learn about that. And I just will say that I do believe the past supports the future. We can't obliterate the past. We have to protect those few pieces of architecture that we have left, and those few most meaningful citizens that of significance. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Boynton?
Good afternoon. 365 Shrewsbury, PO Box 274. Gil took anything Celeste Lodge can do to help reach out to me.
I certainly will. Yes, yes.
I'm here tonight. Mr. Miller, we lost one of our friends who used to work here for the borough. 34 years, Timmy Johnson, Wendy's brother, passed away today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know.
That's our partner, Timmy Johnson, passed away today. A lot of y'all don't know him, but he works there.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
He died today. Matter of fact, his sister told me we get married Saturday too. The other thing I'm here for, I'm not here to cause any friction, but Mr. Zippers, you spoke and said you finished Dr. Barber Boulevard. My concern is the railroad tracks. Why did they go up there and just patch that, the railroad tracks on Dr. Barber Boulevard?
Fred, I think the engineer had addressed that issue. Remember when you had come before the council to ask when we were going to resurface and finish the project? We were waiting for Conrail to do the work at the railroad tracks, which is what delayed us from doing the rest of the milling and paving. Chrissy, if you want to add as to what's going on there at the railroad tracks?
We had waited for Conrail to come in and do the rail crossing, and their constant non-response, we stopped waiting. We went ahead and paved the rest of Dr. Parker. Since then, Senator Beck had gotten involved, and she had called Conrail, basically disgusted with the fact that they couldn't get their act together to do the crossing here. We're going to do the entire roadway, and they couldn't do this small piece. And their response to her was, well, we'll come in and fill in the holes. So that was what they've done. They'll be back in several years, is what I'm told, to finally restore the crossing.
But I'm just saying, that's not going to last this winter.
I know.
When the ice and water get up under that, there are big holes there. So, I mean, they don't want to fix that. Is that Conrail don't want to fix that?
Right. They said they don't have the resources at this time to fix it. I don't know. Like I said, when I hit a brick wall and was getting no response, I got the senator involved. She went up the food chain, and what we got was filling up the patch filling, which is not much.
I just want to give you these pictures because I took pictures of Dr. Parker Boulevard, Chestnut Street, the train station, and Loomis Banks Road. And when you look at these pictures, all of that is rubber in between the railroad tracks.
Right.
And I mean, it's a street named after a doctor. And you think that they would fix that street.
Our request to fix the railroad goes back to February. I mean, they knew about this project 2 years ago, since before then, because that's when it was initiated. But since February, we were ready to pave Dr. Parker in March. In February, they contacted us, said that they would go ahead and do the railroad crossing. We delayed our paving, but then when they weren't responding to us about when they were coming in, we moved ahead with the rest of our project.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that with Jennifer there. The other thing is, Mr. Zippers, I took some pictures. Let me look at these pictures, if you don't mind.
So these are the railroad crossings?
Catch bases. They full up with trash. And, I mean, we're just trying to renew around here, and those catch bases standing, you see them. I mean, they full up with paper and stuff. There's not no leaves, that's paper. And
it's trash as well, Fred.
I'm saying, it's trash.
Clear up this.
But, you gotta lift these catch bases up. And you got a machine to go around and suck them out. They're not doing that. I just got a phone call a couple of weeks ago when they had a big rain. Asbury, 2nd Avenue was flooded. I couldn't believe it. All the way up there to 2nd Avenue was flooded. You know, man. So I would like to see, you know,
2nd Avenue
in Asbury, it's flooded. I couldn't believe it. You know, so I would like to, you know, see something done there. The other thing is, a week ago I was in front of the White House, Washington, D.C., and I took Lorraine, her daughter Lala, the first time she was up there. And we participated in a march for people that couldn't hear and talk, for jobs. It was very exciting for Lala and her mother, so I just want to let y'all know, you know, we're doing a big job up there in Washington, D.C. with a lot of marching and whatnot. So I think we need to get on board and look into Fairbanks.
Right, and the other thing I just asked Stanley about this Shrewsbury and Herbert Street. Is this Shrewsbury, is this catch basin on Shrewsbury, or is it a...
No, Shrewsbury is a county road. That's right across the street.
Okay, but this catch basin is on Herbert Street?
Herbert Street.
Okay.
The catch basin on Shrewsbury is a county road. We don't bother that. Catch basin on Herbert Street is the borough. That's just one catch basin. The other pictures I haven't got developed yet. But I'm just saying, we got, you know, done away with the garbage. So you got enough help now to do these jobs.
Well, we have just enough.
Like once a month, I was talking to Gary about this too, the catch basins, because Atlantic Glass was talking about their catch basin behind the building and how it gets all clogged up and it floods. So, you know, maybe once a month, if everybody was in charge of a certain catch basin, and that would help our river too, you know? Just a thought.
Stanley, when the council meeting is over.
Exactly.
When the council meeting is over, I'd like to speak to you.
Sure, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Red.
Anybody else? If not, there's one addition because of our next council meeting comes after the Fire Prevention Week, which is October 4th through the 10th. We have to pass a proclamation with respect to fire prevention for insurance purposes and like so. It's going to sound tedious, but we got to do it. Proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the Borough of Red Bank is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Red Bank, and whereas fire is serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk of fire, whereas home fires killed 2,755 people in the United States in 2013 and more in 2014. According to the National Fire Protection Association, fire departments in the U.S. responded to 369,500 home fires. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and whereas 3 out of 5 home fire deaths resulted from fires in properties without working smoke alarms. And whereas in 1/5 of all homes with smoke alarms, none were working. And whereas where smoke alarms should have operated but did not do so, it was usually because batteries were missing. And whereas half of the home fire deaths resulted from fires reported at night between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. when most people were asleep. And whereas the borough's residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. And whereas the borough's residents should install smoke alarms and alert devices that meet the needs of people who are deaf or hard of hearing. And whereas the borough's residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas the borough's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home injuries through prevention and protection. Whereas the borough's residents are responsive to public education. And whereas the 2015 Fire Prevention Week theme is Here to Be Where You Sleep. Every bedroom needs a working smoke alarm. Effectively serves to remind us that we need working smoke alarms to give us the time to get out safely. Now, therefore, I was called Madam Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank to hereby proclaim October 4th through 10th. 2015 is Fire Prevention Week throughout the Borough of Red Bank. Any other matters?
Thank you, Mayor.
If not, thank you. Our fire commissioner wanted me to put that on, otherwise she would personally smack me. But she is a great fire commissioner, and I'm so happy that she's back on the council with us. And we're going to be making the fire rounds together. I have to give you a helmet now.
It is Yom Kippur.
Yes, and I was just going to mention that. And I wanted to express to all of those individuals of our community and beyond who are celebrating and remembering with deep emotion, celebration within families and friends of Yom Kippur. We have our respects to everyone and wish everyone peace and stability in their lives and the rest of the year. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Thank you for coming.